but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Kansas Speedway, the Racers Elite Cup Series is ready for the second race of this season's playoffs. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Kansas City, Kansas, just a short drive from the Missouri border. Last week, Joe Hudson, a non-playoff driver, stormed in and took the checkered flag at Michigan. Now tonight, we turn our attention to America's heartland, where the heat is only just beginning to rise in the playoffs. I'm Dave Regal, alongside my esteemed partner, Mr. Daniel Paulus Jr., here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we'd like to thank you for making an SRM a part of your evening, because we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, glad to have you in with us tonight. I know that, it's a busy week, and of course, here we are finally on a Thursday night, nearly making it to Friday, as these drivers, this is the biggest part of their season, as we're finally into the playoff segment of the year. Here tonight at Kansas, 67 degrees if you're in the grandstand, 67 degrees on the asphalt. So there is going to be plenty of grip in this racetrack as we get settled in here. A pretty warm, pretty damp night, though, 96 degrees humidity, so that's going to keep it comfortable and still give these next-gen cars plenty of room to wiggle around here on the racetrack. So glad to have you in with us Thank you for welcoming us into your home, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Let's take a look right now at Joe Hudson. Here in the number 49 Toyota Camry, as he gets ready to rock and roll in his qualifying effort. Ira Kohlhaas, he currently sits atop the pile here in qualifying. The dark horse is starting to ride pretty high here. Let's take a peek as Kensley Smith comes out of here. Hopefully you folks heard my audio, as it seems to have cut out for absolutely no reason a moment ago. Dave Regal with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth from Tarboro, North Carolina, is Kensley Smith. He just sets fast time at 30.4 even. And let's take a quick look here, if you will, at our point standings. Of course, this is just going to be playoff drivers here at this stage in the season. Ira Kohlhaas still maintains that lead here, but Brandon Zimmerman and Alex Teft are knotted up tighter than a snare drum here for P2. They both have 2,042 points, and Brandon Honeycutt cannot get any closer without tying up with them, as he's currently sitting in that P4 slot with 2,040 points. So this league that I've seen all season long has just gotten better and better as we've gotten through the year. Just waiting for a few more drivers to finish their qualifying efforts, as Brandon Honeycutt just goes sixth fastest. Greg Robinson here, we're going to take a peek at him. Robinson out of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. He goes 19th fastest on the first lap here in the Cheddar's number 8 Chevrolet Camaro. And as he rolls out of turn 4 and down onto the front stretch, he crosses the start-finish line, and Robinson goes 4th fastest. So, Stoney Benfield started up pretty strong earlier. He went 3rd fastest initially. Now he sits here in 7th. Let's see if we can get a hold of our points leader, Ira Kohlhaas, and see if he is here in the chat. Out of Driving Extreme Inc. Hey, Ira, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me? Hey, Ira, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me? Ira Kohlhaas. And unfortunately, Ira not available. So let's see if we can get a hold of one of our tied drivers. In fact, let's pull their information back up here. We'll see if we can get a hold of Brandon Zimmerman, see if he's in the chat. Hey, Brandon, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, listen, here you are tied for second position right now. And, all things considered, it's a pretty tight night here.
Yeah, it really is. Looking at the lap times here, it's going to be a tough race.
Look, the lap times, the distance between first and fourth right now in points is just 3 points. And, you and Teft sit right between Kohlhaas and Honeycutt. What's going to be, obviously, this is just, full send kind of mode here, I assume.
Not yet, actually. I'm more worried about surviving. There's a lot of people out here at night, almost 30 cars. A bad night will cost me a lot of points, so I'm concerned about surviving, trying to get a good top 5 finish tonight.
Well, it looks like you're going to roll off about 9th here, assuming that Troy Thomas, Alex Teft, and Marshall Harris don't knock you off of that position as Teft is about to come out and make his run. What's starting in 9th position like? I mean, that's kind of like right in the middle of the tornado, if you will.
It really is. I can't tell you how it's going to be because I don't know yet. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to try to run the bottom for a few laps to save my tires, and hopefully some people fall back and I can, make my way up front. That's the plan.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck tonight. Congrats here on holding down your position in the point standings, and you never know. Maybe we'll see you here at the end of the race on the podium.
I hope so, buddy. I appreciate it.
All righty. I was trying to get a hold of Ira. Do you know where he's at?
He should be in my Discord. Is he not there?
He didn't answer when I went to call out for him. So let me see if I can get a hold of him now.
Gotcha.
Let's see if we can get him one more time as we're just about out of time pre-race here. Hey, Ira, it's Dave. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
There you are. Listen, here you are sitting atop the point standings coming into tonight's race, and just as we're gridding up here, I just want to know what's going to be going through your mind.
Oh, Kansas is a blast. I mean, if you're a Cup fan or a NASCAR fan in any way, shape, or form, and you watch those races a couple weeks ago, I mean, it was the closest finish in Cup history. So that tells you one thing: if you're going to have a chance to win it, you got to be there at the end. And we got a full field of cars. There might be some give and take. There might be a middle run where you just sit there and ride behind somebody, get in the right fuel strategy or whatever. But I just let the points take care of themselves and get out there and try to win this damn race.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations. I got to do the starting lineup, so good luck. Go with God and don't take any wooden nickels.
Thank you, sir.
All right, as we get him on down here back into the driving extreme, we're going to take a look here at your starting lineup tonight as we had a little bit of an abbreviation here. Kensley Smith going to be your pole sitter tonight. He'll be joined in the front row by Andrew Teft. Ira Kohlhaas and Gregory Robinson going to sit in row 2, while Alan Wild and Jason Bottoms sit in row 3. Row 4 featuring Brandon Honeycutt and Stoney Benfield, the faster pastor, in the number 75 Ford Mustang. Brandon Zimmerman going to sit on the inside of row number 5 as Mike Montesi rounds out your starting top 10. Diego Rodriguez and Glenn Campbell, but not the Rhinestone Cowboy, going to be starting in row number 6, while Joe Hudson, last week's winner, starts deep in the field here in 13th alongside Kevin Stone in row 7. Row 8 featuring Curtis Ecker and Brian Wertman, while Dennis Kane and Shannon Wood will be in row number 9. Row 10 and rounding out your starting top 20 going to be Devin Schwartz making his debut on the season alongside Truth Hoke. Kirby Wainscott starts 21st and Dakota Bly in 22nd in row number 11, while row 12 is going to feature Troy Thomas and Rick Kennedy Jr. Thomas Stanley and Alex Teft start 25th and 26th, while Marshall Harris not going to take the start here, so Alex Teft starting shotgun on the field. 26 cars scheduled to take the green flag when we get racing tonight. 105 laps the total distance scheduled. We'll see if we need a little NASCAR overtime. You never know how things are going to unfold here as we get underway. as we are here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. The iRacing.com pace car leading us through turns 3 and 4. Mr. Daniel Paulus finally settling in here. We'll get to him in just a moment. As the iRacing.com pace car leads us out of turn 4 and onto the front stretch, it makes the hard left turn down pit road. And the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn, call a friend, settle in. Race fans, it's show time! Kensley Smith gets the 15 Aaron's Dream Machine cranked up pretty early here, but he can't hold off Ira Kohlhaas in the 29. Kohlhaas already getting a nice run down the back chute, but don't look now. Alan Wild in a mispainted number. He should be scored in the 33. He's showing as the 07. We'll have to keep that in mind tonight as he's working the inside alongside of Kohlhaas. Kohlhaas goes side by side with him for just a moment, but gets credit for leading here on lap number 1. Daniel, are you with me?
Oh, I'm with you.
Well, it's about time. Listen, here we are on lap number 2. We can see here on the left-hand side all of those playoff drivers going to be highlighted here in purple, and the racing is tighter than ever as we take a peek back here at the Faster Pastor Stoney Benfield in the number 75 NC811.org Ford Mustang. He's kind of in a little bit of a tight spot here, if you will, as we can see right here. Now I just got to get my camera control. There it is. As the camera controller gets ready to look to the left, he's got drivers to the left of him, nothing to the right. Here he is stuck in the middle with us on lap number 3. Daniel, this has been quite a race, quite a season, and here we are at week number 2 in the playoffs on lap 3. What do you think we're going to see out of Kohlhaas tonight as he's already gapping Kensley Smith by 0.4 of a second?
Whoa, I can't even believe that we're already a second race into the playoffs this season for Racers Elite. What I'm expecting out of our Kohlhaas is just to play it smooth early on in the game. We have a lot of time before this checkered flag falls. You do not want to make mistakes, and I'm sure he knows that he doesn't want to make mistakes, but he's going to want to gap himself not too far out, not too close to the 15. He just wants to be right in this range where he is right now, but he's going to have to watch the second place car if they do decide to get a run.
Kohlhaas and Smith already running faster laps than during qualifying, and all of a sudden it looks like Brandon Honeycutt may have had himself an issue here. We're going to page up and see where he went. It looks like he may have gone off track. Let's take a look. As we see Honeycutt here in the 13 from Elizabethton, Tennessee. He swings, whoa, the 49.
Wow.
Woof. Of Joe Hudson just nudges him out of the way. Let's see if we can take a peek at what that was like from Hudson's perspective, because I can't see that as being very much fun. As here it is coming out of turn 4 and onto the front stretch, Hudson just comes down and oh! That'll do it as he rips the right front fender off the 49. Ira Kohlhaas, our race leader now, Brandon Honeycutt and Joe Hudson going to have to get, well, you know, Honeycutt probably doesn't need that much damage repair, as it looks like he is out here on track. It looks like maybe he just got a nudge, but Joe Hudson, woof. Oh, yeah, he's having trouble with that left rear, it seems. He may still be trying to get back to, yeah, that left rear is all kinds of locked up. As the field is, the rear half of the field is going to come down pit road, led by Diego Rodriguez in the number 20 Toyota Camry. Looks like some of these drivers may have still kept their throwback paint schemes on from last week. I'm sorry you missed throwback week, Daniel.
That's fine. I mean, I'm sure I'll see it again. But, you know, now here we are at Kansas, one of my other favorite tracks, I would say, to put on my schedule to go see. You're going to see a lot of passing off of 4. You might see 3 wide if that were to happen. That could happen. I wouldn't be shocked if it were to happen, but we see 3 wide coming off of turn 4. We see, a lot of people side drafting into turn 1, trying to get around each other. So I think later on in this race, we're going to see a lot more of that. Just right now, these drivers are just trying to figure out how their car is handling, seeing what the track feels like to them, and try to see what lines that they can use to their advantage.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing here. There are so many different places to run the cars, whether you're high, low, crossing the start-finish line on the apron, which we, of course, see all the time. That's usually a move to try to save, a 100th or a 200th of a second on a lap. And believe me, at a place like Kansas, you need every inch you can get on the racetrack. As cars going to be double file here, 2x2 into the arc as the iRacing.com pace car leads us through turns 1 and 2. These drivers have worked all season long to get to this point. The playoffs are upon us, and the competition is better than ever. I mean, we had a driver in his debut last week bring home the checkered flag. There's a few new drivers on their own team, and I'll tell you what, watching them get through this race and these races over the next few weeks as we head toward the season finale is going to be exciting, and I can't wait to get to Atlanta, as we're going to be at New Atlanta for that season finale in a couple of weeks.
Well, let's just say it's going to be wild.
Wild is one way to put it, as the iRacing.com pace car comes out of turn number 4, makes that left turn down pit road. As Ira Kohlhaas going to have control of the field, the man in the stand has the green flag in his hand. We hit the Geico restart zone. The flag waves, and here we go, back underway. Ira Kohlhaas with another big jump over Alan Wild and Kensley Smith. Alan Wild here. And as I had mentioned, the 07, it's not supposed to be the 07, but here he is, killing it. As they come down the back chute, we can see just how close the 07 is here to getting toward Kensley Smith. And just in tow behind is Jason Bottoms in the 5 car. And I'll tell you what, he's got the car sponsors, Chevrolet, all kinds of hot and heavy as we haul it down into turn 3.
Well, right now, top 10 pretty much spaced out for most of the part here. You're seeing right now Ira Kohlhaas leading the way. He's a playoff driver. Kensley Smith's been very strong. A lot of these drivers I'm seeing right now, I only see, 6 drivers that are in the playoffs right now inside top 10. You see some drivers that might be concerning to you, such as Honeycutt, Dennis Kane, drivers that have been really good in the regular season, but a long time until this checker flag flies. So they could get a top 10, a win. You don't know yet. But some drivers I want to focus on here, Dave, is look at the 19 of Ecker, look at the 17 of Montezi. I mean, these are drivers that we haven't really seen inside the top 10 yet.
No, and they're working their way there, as Kensley Smith just set fast time down at 30.17 on that lap. A little rub of the wall there out of the 59. That's Truth Hoke, as we get a little bit deeper here in that Wrangler number 59 Chevrolet. We take a look at Shannon Wood of the Deuce. He's got to be able to hold off Devin Schwartz and Alex Teft. And as we ride along here with Alex Teft, we're going to see just how much room there is around him, because these drivers are giving themselves plenty of room tonight. I don't see a whole lot of aggressive driving, a whole lot of, close driving at this stage in the race, just 13 laps in, as we can see the 24 of Devin Schwartz kind of wobbling around, trying to find his way here as we work lap number 13, coming out of turn number 2. A lot of times this turn here can kind of give drivers fits, only because they get a little bit of aero push on that left rear, and it makes the car want to track a little toward the wall.
Well, and like to your point, Dave, we're not going to see these drivers be aggressive early on. You're not going to want to use your tire wear up. You don't want to risk yourself getting wrecked and going to the back and potentially not even getting back to the front, because that dirty air, it's really hard to conquer here at Kansas. And I think we are going to see that 3 wide. I do believe we're going to see aggressive passes, but that's not going to be until late in this race when it's really time to go.
Truth Hoke working over top of Kevin Stone in the 28. He's got the Rhinestone Cowboy Glenn Campbell in his sights. And just as we haul it down in here to turns 1 and 2, they get a little bit of a run here from Campbell, which separates himself from Hoke here on lap number 15. Playoff drivers aplenty all through the field. You know, with Kohlhaas leaving in Honeycutt back in 19th position, you know, there is not, at least, well, now Honeycutt goes to 18th. But, I mean, that's 12 drivers through 18 positions. That doesn't leave a whole lot of meat left on the bone for anybody looking to challenge.
No, it really doesn't. And we're seeing inside the top 10, if you look on the left side of your pylon screen right here, you're seeing everybody from 8th all the way up to 1st, besides 2 drivers, are literally half of the playoff drivers. So, I mean, there are times where we see the whole top 10 covered with playoff drivers, but what I hear from playoff drivers, Dave, is that it's frustrating racing around regular drivers not competing for a championship. That's because, you know, the playoff drivers are trying to get everybody picked off, try to get that win, or try to finish good, and not let that non-playoff driver get a good position at the end. So, I see playoff drivers have frustration from that. I heard the playoffs are very challenging, which I do agree it's challenging, Dave, because, you know, it does have a mix of all different tracks.
Yeah, you know, it's not, you know, just mile and a halves. It's not just short tracks. It's not just a super speedway. In fact, you know, 3 of these tracks kind of have super speedway feels to them. You know, here at Kansas, last week in Michigan, and, of course, the season finale at New Atlanta. So they're small super speedways because drafting is involved, of course, you know, trying to get runs on people. Using that aero package here in the Nextgen car is so key to getting around these places. As we take a look here at Dennis Kane, he's up 2 from where he'd started. But, you know, Rick Kennedy Jr. right now, he's up 10 from where he had qualified back in 26th here in the number 51 MGD. Oh, that is not. That's Gutter Pros. I'm sorry. I thought that was an MGD paint scheme there. But the Gutter Pros number 51 working here on lap number 19. He slides just up in front of Joe Hudson. Our winner last week, a little bit of damage tonight he got earlier after having a run in there with Brandon Honeycutt. But, you know, overall, this race has gotten off to a great start here at Kansas Speedway. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr., a pair of Pennsylvanians with you tonight in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, as we are right here in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series, live on Sim Racing Media, as we take a peek here at our YouTube.com live chat. I want to welcome everybody in. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, that you turn on those bell notifications, subscribe to Sim Racing Media. Looks like Jason Bottoms cheering himself on there. Shirley Dawson cheering on Kensley Smith as the big dog Shane Lake says, geez, the winds of Kansas must be strong. The Lollipop Guild is out front. And, of course, Shane Lake is my work mistress. I mean, you know, Matt Metler may be my work wife on a Sunday, but Shane Lake is definitely the work mistress.
Second caution of the night coming out here from Kansas. See what brought out our second caution of the night.
Let's see what happened here with Diego Rodriguez in the 20. It looks like he was just over top of someone scored as the 62. That's Thomas. Whoa! Wow.
Wow.
Something was horrifically wrong with Rick Kennedy, and Diego just kind of T-boned the crap out of him. Now, Kennedy takes a ride down here onto the apron. He whacks the wall and gets sideways. Oh. I don't know if Diego even saw him. Let's take a look here. He can see the wreck happening in front of him. I don't know. I don't even know where to go with that, Daniel.
I don't think there is, but here comes the leader of our Kohlhaas now down pit road. You're seeing everybody coming down here. Probably going to get some fuel.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody realized what was going on there as Rick Kennedy Jr. just gets annihilated. In fact, let's see if we can Maybe what I need to do here is back this up a little bit, and we'll see what happens here as maybe Kennedy, it looks like Kennedy may have gotten just a little too close here to Honeycutt in the 13. Honeycutt drifting below. Kennedy comes up the racetrack, catches the left rear quarter panel. That's what upsets the car. He shoots in front of the Deuce, which has to be a Code Brown moment in and of itself, and then just spins helplessly, waiting for Rodriguez to finish the job. As you had mentioned, Daniel, mass pit stops underway. That cycled Kensley Smith here to P1. Kensley Smith now sitting in P1 as, let's see, here we are on lap number 23. When we go back, green flag racing going to be Kensley Smith, Joe Hudson, Alan Wild, Ira Kohlhaas, Andrew Teft. Your top 5, Stoney Benfield, Brandon Zimmerman, Gregory Robinson, Curtis Ecker, and Jason Bottoms, your top 10. As we work our way through the field, everybody trying to get themselves reorganized here. Is Kensley Smith going to set himself up just behind the iRacing.com pace car? The Tarboro, North Carolina native, already having a very strong season this year, doing even better here in the playoffs, as of course Kensley Smith sits 7th right now in points. It doesn't mean much right now because with this performance tonight, we never know what's going to happen as the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road. Kensley Smith enters the Geico restart zone, almost waits to the very end of the restart zone to hit the loud pedal. Alan Wild now creeping just alongside of Kensley Smith as we get right on in on him. Wild now getting in front of Smith as Smith looks to do the old do-si-do here. As we're on lap number 25, about a quarter of this race through already. As now Kensley Smith regains, nope, still side by side. And Kensley Smith suddenly being passed by Joe Hudson. We are under caution once again here for the 3rd time tonight. I don't see what brought this out. I see a couple of drivers. Looks like Brian Wertman awful slow to get back going, if you will. Let's see what might have happened here with Wertman as he was hanging out way in the back. It must have happened just in front. Oh, there goes the 4. That was the 4 machine of Dennis Kane. Let's see what happened here. Dennis Kane coming out of 2. Contact between the 5 and the 43. It was actually ahead of him. Oh, there it goes. Oof.
Yeah, that's it's unexpected there.
We'll see if we can reload this once again and maybe get a little bit further up in the line. As maybe we can see it here from the 4. Just a little bit of contact. Maybe he checked up and overcompensated. Oh, there goes the 5. Let's see if Jason Bottoms can give us any kind of insight, because the car doesn't go that way. Contact between the 17 and the 65. They're just a little bit of bumping. They go 3 wide for a second. They clean themselves up. But wow! That'll do it every time.
Man, Dennis Kane was not looking to have that night. So far, our top contender in the playoff right now is the 15 of Kensley Smith, sitting comfortably in the third position as it's showing right now.
Alan Wild going to sit P1 for the time being. It looks like Thomas Stanley, Diego Rodriguez, Jason Bottoms, Brandon Honeycutt, Dakota Bly, Brian Wortman, and Troy Thomas all down pit road. So they're going to get themselves onto a different pit cycle. Now, from Kirby Wainscott here in 15th all the way up to P1, Alan Wild, they all came down on lap number 22, so just 6 laps on those tires. Not a whole lot to be worried about. And in this league, you have to remember that this is a fixed setup league. So everybody has the same chassis measurements, adjustments, twists, turns, and it really puts everything onto the drivers. So the fact that Alan Wild, making a debut here in the Racers Elite Cup Series, climbs his way up into P1 after starting in 5th, that's pretty impressive when you're the new kid on the block.
Hey, it's fun, though, because, you know, you get the experience what that clean air feels like. You're leading the pack. I mean, it's just a bundle of different emotions here, Dave. You know, especially when you're a rookie, it just feels great because it shows the other drivers that you are proven good around the other drivers. But I expect big things out of them.
Shane Lake here in the YouTube.com live chat says that if Mettler is my work wife and he is my work mistress, that makes you like my work side piece for, you know, just Thursday nights when I'm a little lonely. So that seems to be the ranking here, at least as far as Shane Lake is concerned. Jason Bottoms, 57 fan. It's actually his mom watching us. So, hey, what's up, Mama Bottoms? Welcome to the family. Alan Wild with control of the field. We go single file as we come out of turn 4. The iRacing.com pace car should be turning its lights off this time by. As Brandon Honeycutt down pit road once again, making his way back off. So not sure if he was down there to serve a penalty or maybe get some repair done. But kind of an interesting move here for the 13 as he's now going to be shuffled all the way back here in the field. Nobody down a lap yet with the exception of Marshall Harris, who never took the green flag. So not a bad thing for him, as Brandon Honeycutt's going to have to hustle to get back up here with the rest of the field, where Rick Kennedy is waiting for him to get in the line. Well, Daniel, 30 laps in the books, just about a third of the way through this race. What are we going to be looking for when we go green?
Well, Dave, do we try this again and re-rack them?
Alan Wild going to lead us out of turn 4 onto the front stretch. He hits the Geico restart zone, waits once again, just like Kensley Smith, and drops the hammer almost at the end of the restart zone, gets a jump over Joe Hudson. You have to wonder if this is almost like a changeup in pitching, if he's just kind of, you know, if this is going to be the pattern. As they are 3 wide, Kensley Smith, the meat in the middle of the sandwich. The faster passer works the low side, a little bit of bump.
Oh, contact.
Oh.
They saved it. They saved it.
Any closer and it would have been all over. Drivers now scrambling as they're all but 4 wide behind, trying to organize themselves. My goodness. The 19 now, or the 29, I'm sorry. All the way back into 9th position. He's got Greg Robinson just over top, the faster passer. Now recovered and, you know, resettled in here as we look ahead here at Andrew Teft, who's probably the safest car in this neck of the woods now, as he's got to get to Kensley Smith, about a half second, almost 0.6 of a second ahead.
Not only that, but you see the top three basically pulled away at this point. I mean, they're fighting pretty hard mid-pack right now.
Stony, is that a question or an observation? Stony Benfield here trying to defend 7th position just ahead of Greg Robinson. The faster pastor doing what he can as Robinson gets ready to look at him from behind. Now Alex Teft gets the 43 into position here. We're going to go right along here with Teft as we ride here. He's not setting himself up perfectly square behind the 75, but Stony Benfield now hauling it into 3, and they're trying to make it look like they're following the same line, but Alex Teft drops below. He's not going to get there that way. He's got to be able to square up with that rear bumper and get those RPMs up in a little bit of draft. Alan Wild, your race leader, a 1/4 of a second over top of Joe Hudson as Rick Kennedy looks like he may have bought the big one here. Let's take a look. I don't know why this keeps going to the nose cam. But there goes Kennedy. Oh, it started with the 40. Wow! The 44 just absolutely had a day. That's Glenn Campbell here. Let's take a look at that from a little higher on the racetrack, if you will. Here comes the 44. Off. Yeah, does not get any worse than that when you're pointed the wrong direction, that's for sure. We'll take one more look at it here. There's the nudge from Truth Hoke and just sends Kennedy down. I'm sorry, the 44 down. That's Glenn Campbell. And the Rhinestone Cowboy may have had a couple of those rhinestones fall off the Canadian tuxedo. As, they were racing like they were going for the win here, and, here it is just lap 37 of 105. The caution comes out at lap 35. 4 cautions already tonight, which is really uncharacteristic of this league. Speaking of Alan's correct paint, let's see what we're talking about here. Alan Wild, I'm not seeing the correct paint, and, I do refresh these before each and every race, and I did refresh it again as we were under caution a little while ago, and this is the paint that keeps showing up, so that may be a setting that Alan has wrong in iRacing, so, if Peaks World can get a hold of Alan, that's what's going on here with Alan Wild in what appears to be the 07, even though that he's being scored as the 33. iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means we'll be getting ready to go back green flag racing any moment now when we get back to the start-finish line here. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr. with you in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth.
All right, here we go.
Alan Wild drops the hammer, and here we go. Green flag racing again on lap number 39. Kensley Smith in tow here as they are going to go side by side just behind Brandon Zimmerman and Alex Teft. They're going to take care of business. Stony Benfield, the faster pastor, he's already up here into 6th position, up 2 from where he had begun. Now, that's not a rocket ship, that's for sure. That's somebody who's here watching everything, taking his time, making sure that, he's not being overly aggressive and beating the bejesus out of that equipment. That way, he's got a little bit left here for the end. Of course, Benfield and Wild, both non-playoff drivers. There are 3 non-playoff drivers overall in your top 10. That's impressive, especially considering that they're only here the last couple of weeks as we've gotten into the playoffs.
Oh, a little bit of contact back there. Not sure who it was, Dave. They did save it. You're seeing Kensley Smith all over the back bumper of our leader right now, trying to get around, using the apron there on the front stretch. Backing up just a little bit there. Gonna get a good corner exit off of 2.
He makes the run off at 2. He's chasing down the 07 of Alan Wild. And Alan's got that Jack Daniels, a little too tight. That opens the door for Kensley Smith to make a pass here. They go side by side through the front stretch. And as they cross the start-finish line, this lap going to go to Kensley Smith, as all of a sudden we have a 3-way battle for the lead. Brandon Zimmerman getting in here on the dance as they want to try to make this a menage a trois coming out of turn 2. Down the back chute, Brandon Zimmerman now working the low side of Alan Wild. It's going to be curious to see who's going to become the meat in this sandwich as we work here on lap number 42. Kensley Smith dragging Alan Wild and Brandon Zimmerman out of turn 4 once again. Finally, he gets a little breathing room between himself and Wild.
For now, Dave, for now, but it's not over yet because the 15 is going to have to defend that second place car, because once that second place car gets a run, I bet they're going to be side by side in a matter of 10 laps, 5 laps, I don't know, but we'll see what happens here. Look at Robinson with a good run, just inside the top 5, just only 9/10 back from our leader.
Yeah, Greg Robinson here, gets a little bit too cozy here with the 49, as all of a sudden Brandon Zimmerman has backed out of the battle and allowed Ira Kohlhaas in, as Zimmerman now holding on to 4th position, Greg Robinson running in P5. So now we've got just one non-playoff driver here into the top 5, but they still sprinkle themselves through here in the top 10 with Andrew Teft running the 98 here at the rear of the top 10. Then, of course, Truth Hoke and Brandon Honeycutt down there in 16th and 18th position. It's a busy night here on the racetrack. Jason Bottoms down a lap, running in 21st. That's a run-through of our playoff drivers, while Kensley Smith gets a chance to look out the rear window here and just take a look back at Alan Wild. These guys are now going to be able to start really laying the laps down. We're just about at the halfway point, maybe about 7 laps shy of that point. So now comes the pit strategy. Are these drivers going to be able to make it on 1 or 2 more stops? They started with a total of 4 sets laid in the pits, 5 altogether. So you got to start to wonder who's going to blink and who's going to be able to stretch this fuel out. And I've seen Kensley Smith do it multiple times this season.
Well, we know Kensley Smith's going to do it, but is anybody else going to do it? That's the question yet to be answered. Here on lap 47, I mean, Dave, we're pretty much almost halfway through this race. It's insane. See Wild back there, 2/10 behind our leader of Kensley Smith. 3rd place, 4/10 back. That's Kohlhaas. And then you got Zimmerman and Robinson rounding out your top 5. Then you got 2 non-playoff drivers. You got the 49 at Hudson, the 75 at Benfield in 6th and 7th. And then, Dave, you look even further back, 8th, 9th, and 10th. You got the Teft brothers and Dennis Kane there rounding out your top 10. So they're coming. They're making their way up.
Yeah, Andrew Teft holds down the rear of the top 10. He's got the 98, down 8 spots after qualifying on the front row. So that's not necessarily a good thing, but he could also just be staying out of the way as he and brother Alex Teft now swap positions. Andrew goes to 9th, Alex goes to 10th. As Alex is up 15, Andrew down 7 as we work lap number 49. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr. with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Kensley Smith, your race leader here at Kansas Speedway in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. We're in round 2 of the playoffs here tonight, folks, and Kensley Smith, a playoff driver, now commanding the field with relative ease. As we do, well, no Jason, no Mama Bottoms, I did not hear a third voice. You never know, though. Could always be gremlins floating around in the internet. We've had stranger things happen online. Stoney Benfield running in 8th position right now, kind of holding things down. Kensley Smith now opening up 3/4 of a second here as Brandon Zimmerman works just over top of the 8. Now we see Greg Robinson trying to get his way around the 65. Robinson starting to have some success here, but Zimmerman finds a hole right over top of Ira Kohlhaas, and now they're going to go door handle to door handle through turns 3 and 4, and as they roll out of 4, it looks like Kohlhaas not going to have the edge anymore as Zimmerman works his way by. There is all kinds of traffic up here in the top 6. Greg Robinson running in 5th right now. We take a look a little bit further back here. Mike Montesi in the 17 starting to do battle with Curtis Ecker in the Coca-Cola machine as they are both trying to get around Kevin Stone in the 28th. Kevin Stone just sounds like a tough name, like Kevin Stone. It sounds like a movie star name. Kevin Stone stars in the Haviland movie. Stone now working behind Stoney Benfield. So it's Stoney and Stone here getting ready to go at it as Stoney gives away the 9th position to Stone, and now Stone hitches his wagon to the rear of the 98 of Andrew Teft. He's going to be side by side with the 29 of Ira Kohlhaas. And now Kohlhaas kind of falls victim to Kevin Stone as well, as Stone just seems to have really found an extra gear here in 7th position as he goes all but fender to fender with Andrew Teft. It's almost like they're accidentally working together. As Stone climbs, now so does Teft. "55 laps in the books here at Kansas Speedway." All of a sudden, Joe Hudson gets the 49 up here into the lead. When we come back from break, we'll see how this race finishes up as we are now all but past the halfway point here at Kansas Speedway. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr. with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Thank you for tuning in to Sim Racing Media. We'll be back, but don't go away. We're going NASCAR side by side live from Kansas Speedway.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr. of Parrot, Pennsylvania is with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. 66 laps in the books, and your leaders are coming down pit road for what could be the money stop here at Kansas Speedway. Alan Wild, Stoney Benfield, Alex Teft, and Devin Schwartz all down pit road. Joe Hudson, though, he's your race leader right now with a 2-second lead over Andrew Teft. Hudson now with a little less than 2 seconds over Teft, as Teft just kind of out here logging laps. We're kind of keeping an eye on him. He's got Mike Montesi just behind him running P3. Kevin Stone in fourth. Brandon Zimmerman, Shannon Wood, Kirby Wayne, Scott Truthhope, Brandon Honeycutt, and Brian Workman, your top 10. They all last came down on lap number 37, so that's going to be interesting as far as pit strategy is concerned as we pull that up here. 30 laps on the books for those drivers with the exception of Zimmerman, who last came down 44 laps ago on lap number 22. So either timing and scoring is horrifically wrong, or Brandon Zimmerman is just the absolute Iron Man of this race. Joe Hudson leads the way here. We're waiting to see when he's going to dip down. But if he's able to stay out here, he's got, plenty of time. We're going to have to start watching drivers like Greg Robinson and Alan Wild, as we're going to watch some of their times melt away here. In fact, let's look at the lap times for Robinson, as we're going to see he and Wild just getting faster and faster. Robinson last laid down 30.642 on lap 67. So he went from 30.9 all the way down to 642. He's getting faster as those tires are coming up to temperature. Wild having a little bit of trouble trying to catch up to him as we pass here over the 62. That's Thomas Stanley in the FedEx Toyota Camry. I almost said the Supra. Wrong league, as, wow, a little Wild gets Greg Robinson here in the 8 as he gets ready to cross the start-finish line. And as he does, it looks like he laid down a 30.962, so Wild was just a little bit faster that time around. As we get through here, we see the time delta between Robinson and Wild, and it just seems like at this point they're almost matching one another step for step.
Well, you got to figure this in, though, Dave. We have 105 laps here tonight, and we're going to be going on lap 72. So basically, with that being said, we have 33 laps at the line. So, are we going to see another green flag pit stop, or are we going to see all the way to the green, to the checker flag? Because think about it. If we have a caution come out, that's going to change everybody's strategy. But as you see these drivers, they're making their way around. Now, if we were to get a caution, I expect these drivers, come down pit road, get some fuel in their cars, make a few adjustments, what they need to get that advantage at the end, to get as many points, as many positions as possible, potentially get that win. But if we do not, and we stay all the way green, I think it's going to be a tight battle between the top 3. And I'm going to say that if they're not spread out. But if they're spread out, I think the only contenders we really have are first and second. Because once that tire wear starts falling off, they're going to be getting closer and closer to each other. And we know how important the draft is here, coming off 4, going into 1, and the front straightaway. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who's going to win here tonight, but I'm not sure who's going to do it, because we're not close enough to predict what's going to happen. But I think it's going to be a pretty good, interesting battle for the lead.
Shannon Wood takes the lead right now. He last came down on lap number 36. He's got Truth Hoke and Brandon Honeycutt just behind him. Just 6 cars, now 5, have not come down pit road. Right now, Troy Thomas in the 88 is staying up here. Here comes Shannon Wood in the deuce down pit road. Let's ride along and see that approach here as we come down. As we come down pit road. That was nearly a disaster. As Wood's going to make his way down maybe a few extra pit boxes, but pulling it just to a stop here before the break and pit wall. So obviously, as we're going to get 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast, we'll have to see. I do have to agree with you, though, Daniel. I think that we're going to get to a point here where if these drivers, go green, we shouldn't see them have to come down again. But if they, if we do get that caution, we're going to wind up seeing, mass casualty pit stops just to make sure that everything is nice and tight and ready to rock and roll, because they're going to be that close to one another. Truth Hope now takes the lead, still hasn't come down for that final stop, as Truth looks like, here with 30 laps to go, that he wants to try to stay out here as long as humanly possible. Oh, the car gets just a little too tight and rubs the wall. That'll give him a Darlington stripe, Kansas style.
No, Dave, you hit it right on the spot there. I totally agree with you. If a caution were to come out, like I was mentioning, we're probably going to see pit stops, but so far it looks like it's going to stay green. And, I mean, the highest person that I've ever seen here tonight in the playoffs was pretty much Kensley Smith or, Ira Haas. But other than that, I'm shocked that we're not seeing Honeycutt or Shrewd Hoke or Dennis Kane.
The 59 just got all kinds of hot and bothered coming down pit road. Not sure if he got it down to pit speed as he came out of 4 and into the pit road entrance. Let's see if he gets the black flag for speeding on pit road, as that was as close as anybody's going to get. Brandon Honeycutt and Brian Wertman, Troy Thomas, the 3 drivers that still have yet to come down pit road. What they're really setting themselves up for is a late caution. They're hoping with, 3 or fewer to, 4 to 3 laps to go, that's when the caution comes out. So that will give them an edge. It's easier to hold cars off for a short period of time than over the long run, and we can already see Honeycutt still has that wrinkle-dinkle here on the hood of his Toyota Camry as he works lap number 79. We're approaching 25 to go here at Kansas Speedway. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr., a pair of Pennsylvanians, with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Here comes Honeycutt as he goes to haul it on down pit road. He catches the apron. A good entrance here as he's coming down pretty hot. No tire smoke out of the 13. That'll cycle Brian Wertman up to the lead. And he and Troy Thomas now makes the entrance onto pit road. So he'll do the same, leaving Brian Wertman, the last of the Mohicans up here that has yet to come down pit road in the NC811.org Chevrolet Camaro. Of course, a teammate of the faster Pastor Stoney Benfield, who now cycles his way up here into 6th. And Wertman still trying to hold on here. Let's take a look at that pit strategy. I mean, Wertman's out here for 43 laps.
Correct. But, Dave, there's one other playoff driver that I'm really impressed of tonight. And that being the 8 of Robinson. I mean, look at him. He's already inside top 5. He's been inside top 5 most of the night. Here he is. And he's still competing in the top 5.
Well, Wertman qualified in 16th position. He leads this piece right now just behind just ahead of Kensley Smith by about 18 seconds. And Wertman staying out here trying to show everybody that he's the Iron Man. The thing is, you either want to be middle of the pack or early on in pit cycles, because now that you're the last one, if we have a caution, you're going to cycle all the way back to the rear. As he's just going to stay out, he's got to be watching that fuel gauge there, from his iRacing overlay in the car and thinking, yeah, I can get another lap. Yeah, sure, one more. One more won't hurt. Still have yet to hear the 74 call out for pit. And he's going to go one more lap. As now the 9 car of Dakota Bly comes down pit road. A little bit of a late bloomer, if you will. Kensley Smith running in P2 now 16 seconds. He's starting to gain on Brian Wertman. Any more, and Brian Wertman's going to wind up going down a lap at this kind of speed, because Dennis Kane is 29.8 seconds behind him. That's going to allow Kane to get around, and realistically, the amount of time that it takes to get on pit road, get your service, and here he comes. Brian Wertman late to the party for pit road as he's going to haul it down here. He's got a pretty short drive, though, to his pit boxes. He's just 10 deep here. When Wertman comes off of pit road, as he now sits in 12th position, he's got 13 seconds until Wayne Scott makes it by. Time starting to erode for him as I think he just came for a splash of fuel. Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, but he just came down for a splash of fuel. That pit stop for Wertman
Yeah, he only came down for fuel. He didn't come down for tires or anything. He just did gas and go.
I can't even believe what I just saw.
Well, believe it now because we just saw it, so.
He now rides ahead of Troy Thomas. Now, Thomas is starting to close in on him as Wertman gets himself back up to speed. So I'm starting to watch this number get ever so close. And I guess he's gonna level out at about 13 seconds ahead of Troy Thomas. And now starts to pull away from Thomas. Joe Hudson, who won last week at Michigan, now leads the race once again with a 1 second gap over Kensley Smith. Hudson suddenly trying to set himself up to be a back-to-back winner. Joe Hudson, Mike Montesi, and Andrew Teft go 1, 2, 3. Teft, the only playoff driver in the top 3, as it looks like Kensley Smith and Kevin Stone exchanging positions, as Kevin Stone going to crawl into 4th position. As it's 6 non-playoff drivers and 4 playoff drivers in the top 10 right now. Here on the left side of your screen, Joe Hudson leads the way, as he had a little bit of a problem earlier on this evening, but seems to have recovered very well here in the 12, as he and Mike Montesi lead the way here, about a quarter of a second between Montesi and Andrew Teft, as we work with now 17 laps to go. Meanwhile, check this out back here. Brian Wertman still holding on to 17th position. He couldn't hold off Troy Thomas for very long, but, nonetheless, still holding on to that lead lap for dear life. So he's obviously, counting on some type of, late race caution activity.
Look at this. Kensley Smith battling side by side with Wild here. This is going to hurt their momentum. Both of them drag racing down the front straightaway here, but the 49 of Hudson still leading over to 17 by 1.7 seconds. And then we go back to our 3rd place where we have 90 of Andrew Teft, which is basically our first playoff driver in front of all of them here tonight from Kansas, with just 15 laps to go. Dave, 15 laps to go. The 49 Hudson just wants to see that checkered flag fly.
Yeah, the sooner the better for him as we work our way through this piece. I mean, these drivers, at this stage in the race, they're not going to be giving up anything easily. And I mean, at this point in the season, we've got to kind of assume that they're kind of setting themselves up. I mean, look, right now, Andrew Teft in our point standings in the 98. In fact, let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Andrew Teft, and I'm just doing this behind the scenes, of course, a little peel back of the curtain. Andrew Teft right now sits in 11th position. I mean, he's got 2018 points coming in here, so that's going to do a lot for him to bounce him up through the standings. I mean, Kensley Smith sits in 7th, so if he can finish ahead of Smith and just about everybody else, I mean, Zimmerman here in the 65, I can't believe it, but right now, non-playoff drivers are playing the spoiler in this league after watching so long this season, holding their own.
Look at this. Look at Zimmerman now getting around Kensley Smith, and the 33 Wild getting around Kensley Smith, and Kensley Smith is very loose. Not sure if he scraped the wall back there, Dave.
Yeah, loose as a goose for Kensley Smith. He may have been able to recover it here as he runs in 7th position with 11 to go here at the line. Looks like he's got everything back under control now. It's Hudson, Montesi, Teft, Stone, Wild, Zimmerman, your top 6. Kensley Smith in 7th. Alex Teft, Curtis Eckert, and Kirby Wayne Scott runs in P10, but Wayne Scott has Shannon Wood just behind here. As we look from behind from Shannon Wood's perspective, I mean, oh, a little rub of the wall. That was finger-licking ugly. As all of a sudden, Kirby Wayne Scott has to now scurry away from the front nose of Shannon Wood. Fortunately, that disturbed air didn't drag Wood up into the wall, as now we haul it down into turn 1 and 2 again. They're running that high side, and you can almost see Wood fighting a tight condition in 1 and loose in 2. So maybe an extra little burp of the throttle may help to loosen that car up with now 10 laps to go.
I don't know if you saw it, Dave, but the 43 of Teft got loose back there. Then you see the 4, Dennis Kane, also behind him. Getting inside. Or I should say, getting closer to a top 10 here. It's in 14th right now.
Taking a look at elsewhere in the world of sports just for fun, Kyle Schwarber doubled in the bottom of the 7th. Bryson Stott scored, and now the Philadelphia Phillies lead the New York Mets 3-2 here in the bottom of the 7th. So, big night up in Flushing. Of course, the Phillies here in South Philadelphia, the Phillies getting ready for a weekend series against the Washington Nationals. And coincidentally enough, I'll be in Washington on Saturday, and I thought, oh, wow, wouldn't it be cool to catch any kind of a game in D.C.? And, of course, no, they'll be here at home. It would be easier if I stayed home to catch the Nationals play.
That would be everybody's luck that wants to see that game, right?
Yep. It's funny. For years, my family, we used to go to Washington because my mom's cousin lives down there, and we would go around Mother's Day, and, usually it seems like this is the time of year where the Nationals are home the weekend of Mother's Day, and then the Phillies, then they go to see the Phillies the weekend after, which is usually when we be down there. And here it is, just by sheer luck, that, here I am again going to D.C. the weekend after Mother's Day, and the Phillies are at home with the Nationals.
Well, I know you did say you were going to go to Mahoman Valley, right? Very soon. What was that? September?
Raceway, August 10th, 105.5
August 10th.
WMGH, going to be on location, bringing you all of the live action. You can download our app over there. You can look it up on the App Store or the Google Play Store. 105.5 WMGH. Yours truly will be on the call August 10th. Of course, you can also catch the news. And you can hear the dulcet tones of my voice over there in the mornings.
Well, just 5 laps remaining here in the Racers Elite Next Gen Series playoff race number 2 from Kansas. And this is going to be it. And Hudson extended his lead, believe it or not, to a 3.3 second lead here. Now with 4 laps to go. Dave, were you expecting this, or were you expecting a playoff driver to win?
I genuinely was expecting a playoff driver to win. Right now, we're taking a look at Kensley Smith and Alex Teft duking it out here to see who's going to finish in the top 10, as these drivers are still back here with the hammer and tongs out late in this race. They're going to race each other cleanly, though, as Kensley Smith and Kensley Smith and Alex Teft have a tendency to do so. As we're here in the twilight of this race, 3 laps to go. Joe Hudson, your race leader. Shannon Wood now exchanging positions with Kirby Wayne Scott, as a 4-way battle for 7th position has broken out. Alan Wild defending 6th position, with Shannon Wood and Curtis Eckert just behind him. 3 laps to go. Joe Hudson now with a 3.5 second lead over Mike Montesi. Joe Hudson, your race leader. He's followed by Mike Montesi and Kevin Stone. Your top 3 are all non-playoff drivers. Andrew Teft, running in 4th position, is falling by the wayside here. Now 0.3 of a second between himself and Stone. The popsicle sticks go in the air. We're 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go for Hudson here in the 49. Has been grinding and grinding every race, getting inside top 10s, getting top 5s, trying to stay up front. And it looks like tonight's going to be the night for the 49 of Hudson as he gets that white flag.
The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers. Joe Hudson leads Mike Montesi here on lap number 105. And Joe Hudson, from 13th position, claws his way through the field to lead Mike Montesi and Kevin Stone back to the checkered flag as he hauls it out of turn number 4. Barney's got the checkered flag in the air. And Joe Hudson wins the Racers Elite Nextgen Series event here, week number 2 of the playoffs at Kansas Speedway. Mike Montesi and Kevin Stone come across the line just behind him, while Andrew Teft and Brandon Zimmerman round out your top 5. Alan Wild, Shannon Wood, Curtis Ecker, Kirby Wainscott, and Alex Teft all make up your top 10. As, my goodness, what a finish to this race. Again, another surprise here in the playoffs. Not a playoff driver in sight here on the top 3.
That was shocking. I thought for sure Kensley Smith or Wild was going to be the two battling out. But nope, here it is, the 49 of Hudson with a 3.7 second lead on the rest of the field. Now with drivers making their way down pit road, gonna pack a few things up here and off to the next one next week. But right now we're gonna be interviewing our top 3 drivers here very, very soon. That being the 49 of Hudson, the 17 of Motis, and the 28 of Stone.
Yet looking for Motesi right now, I don't see him in the Discord chat, so we're gonna have to lead off here. There he is, Mike Montesi sliding on in. But first and foremost, we want to talk with Joe Hudson, driver of the number 49, our race winner tonight in his Toyota Camry. Hey, Joe, it's Dave and Daniel up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Double D's, how are y'all doing?
Man, listen, we're doing good, but you're doing even better. A non-playoff driver goes back-to-back here in the playoffs in the first 2 weeks. How do you explain this?
Well, Andrew was great enough to put on a practice race Saturday night, and we pretty much got our tails handed to us by Sean Bounty, and he's spent a few days helping me with the line, and it's just fast, and so I owe it all to Sean. Some great teammates at the Outsiders. I mean, we all pick each other up. I got in that wreck, and thank God for a fast repair. My night would have been over after like 7 laps. So, again, the Outsiders, the Sean Bounty, this all due to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks in a row you bring home the checkered flag. Last week at Michigan, now tonight here at Kansas. I mean, you're really setting the world on fire as far as I'm concerned here in this league. I mean, I've been here all season long. And, all of a sudden you just come out of nowhere. Now, next week we're going to Texas Motor Speedway, another 1.5 miles. How are you feeling going down there to Texas?
We race several different leagues, and it's always been a decent track for us. We'll just practice up and roll the dice and see how they shake out.
All right, my man. Well, listen, congratulations on the checkered flag tonight. Before we cut you loose, is there anybody else that you need to tip your helmet to for helping you get it done here on the 49 team?
No, just Andrew and everybody at the league and you guys with the broadcast. Again, all my teammates, Truth, and all the guys at the Outsiders running the old Stanley Smith throwback paint scheme there. I worked on his pit crew way back in the 90s and found this one on Trading Paint. So glad to be representing Stanley, and just always fun to win. And thank you guys again. Thanks for everything.
All right, buddy. Congratulations as we get Joe Hudson on out of here and back to his team. Certainly next, but not least at all, is going to be Mr. Mike Montesi. Daniel, I believe you have him down on pit road.
Thank you, Dave. I'm right here with Mike Montesi in the number 17, finishing second here from Kansas. Mike, it was an interesting race here tonight. Tell me what was going through your mind.
Well, I tried to run the low line in the first go and didn't realize we were short fuel and had 5 sets of tires. So I didn't need to save the tires. And once I figured it out, it was a little bit better for me.
Well, I mean, now that Kansas is out of the way, what are you looking forward for next week and the rest of this season going forward?
I'm new here, so I don't know where we running next week. Oh, one of my favorites. There we go. I'm looking forward to Texas.
Okay, well, they say everything's bigger in Texas, so hopefully you'll be getting that trophy next week.
Yeah, you bet. I think we got something for him there. So,
well, how was the track handling tonight, Mike? Was it too tight? Was it too loose? Was it just right? I mean, what were the lines that everybody was using?
Well, it was felt fine on the bottom, but it was so slow that everybody migrated to the top, and
right.
I just felt it was tight on entry, so you just had to really wait on it. And once I figured that out, it was a lot better. I still had nothing for Joe, regardless. Joe was the class of the field tonight. So,
all right. Well, do you have anybody you would like to thank here tonight?
Just thank you to Andrew for putting on a great race here, and Racers Elite, and thanks.
All right, that was the driver of the number 17, Mike Montesi. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm a little bit further down pit road right now with as I get Montesi out of here. I'm a little bit further down on pit road, but still on our podium with Kevin Stone out of Mooresville, North Carolina, the NC811.org, number 28. Hey, Kevin, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, what a finish tonight. 3 non-playoff drivers managed to, stun the field, including yours truly, who's been sitting here all season long. How do you explain the performance of you 3 drivers that got up here onto the podium?
I think it was just conserving the tires, learning in the first part of the run, it was just learning where to run and not tear up your tires and try to save as much as you could. I think we all pitted probably around the lap 37 caution, gave us a little bit of a momentum coming in to have that lead going into the final pit stop.
Yeah, it was an incredible run here, coming up to the final pit stop. I know that there were a lot of drivers probably hoping for that very late caution so they could quick get some tires. I mean, I saw some drivers deep in the field. In fact, as I look through here, some of them, including Brian Wertman, were probably desperately waiting for it as he only came down for, fuel on his last stop. What's going to be your strategy next week going to Texas Motor Speedway? Another 1.5 miles, a nice, to me, it's a fast 1.5 miles. It's exciting. What are you thinking as we head on down to the Lone Star State?
Yeah, Texas is one of those tracks kind of similar. You're going to want to conserve the tires as much as you can. I think you're probably running more the bottom line. I figured we'd be running the bottom line here, but I didn't know it was a night race, so that changed it up a bit. But I could find progress on the bottom when I get to guys and they're running the top, and I could just drop it to the bottom and use the brakes a little to get it to turn down in. But Texas is going to be a little different animal with the grip and all that, but and it's a lot of speed, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congratulations on the P3 finish here on the podium. Before we cut you loose, who helps you get it done here on the 28, and who do you need to tip your helmet to?
Yeah, I got to give a shout-out to Redemption Motorsports, Alan and Stoney Benfield, my teammates. Got to give a shout-out to the admins in this league, Racers Elite. It's a great league to run in. You guys up in the booth, you do a great job every week. And that's about it. NC811.org. Call before you dig.
All right, buddy. Listen, congratulations, and we'll see you next week at Texas.
All right, thanks.
Well, Daniel, another one in the books here. Second one here in the playoffs this season, and we're not done yet. We're going to Texas next week. It's pretty much one of the hottest tracks that we're going to go to here. Here in the playoffs, we go Texas, Iowa, and then finish out the season in Atlanta. Just 3 weeks left in this particular season before we roll into the next one. What are you looking forward to at Texas? Because I know for me, it's one of my favorite racetracks.
Well, what I'm looking forward to is, seeing how the grip is going to be at Texas, because I know some days it's loose, some days it's not loose. So what I'm looking forward to is seeing the passing, seeing who's going to dominate. Then I know everything's bigger in Texas, so we might end up with a big surprise winner. But the most track that I'm looking forward to the rest of this season is Iowa. Just because, I haven't been to Iowa in such a long time, but it puts on great performance. You see battling going on every which way. You're seeing different lines being used. You're seeing drivers fight side by side a lot most of the time at Iowa. And I think that's what's going to be the most exciting, to see who advances onto the championship round, as I would call it, basically.
Absolutely. Well, listen, before we get out of here tonight, let's take one final look at our results from here at Kansas Speedway. Joe Hudson brings home the checkered flag, and he is joined on the podium by Mike Montesi and Kevin Stone. Andrew Teft and Brandon Zimmerman round out the rest of your top 5, while Alan Wild, Shannon Wood, Curtis Ecker, Kirby Wainscott, and Alex Teft make up the remainder of the top 10. Kensley Smith comes home in 11th position, while Stoney Benfield, the faster pastor, comes home in 12th. Gregory Robinson and Brian Wertman come home in 13th and 14th after Wertman came down for just a splash of fuel and a prayer back, here in the late stage of the race. Brandon Honeycutt brings 15th back to the 13 car as the 4 car finishes in 16th, driven by Dennis Kane. Ira Kohlhaas and Troy Thomas finish 17th and 18th, while Jason Bottoms, whose mother was tuned in here on YouTube.com, finishes in 19th. 20th position and rounding out the top 20 is Devin Schwartz, while Dakota Bly and Truth Hogue finish 21st and 22nd. Rick Kennedy Jr. and Thomas Stanley come home 23rd and 24th, while Diego Rodriguez and Glenn Campbell round out the remainder of the cars that took the green flag. Marshall Harris never got a start, and Alan Bergen came in late as late as your prom date. So, for myself, Dave Regal, and Daniel Paulus here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and everyone here at Sim Racing Media, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and making us a part of your evening, and for welcoming us into your home, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We thank you for the time that you've spent with us tonight, and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.